Well, I've just woke up to a very frosty morning. For the frost on the shed roofs. And coincidentally, I've just got back from a very frosty, freezing and snowy Scotland. I've been working in Aberdeen and I've brought with me a haggis and some white pudding. So I think I'm going to make a winter warming stewy casserole, incorporating those and other ingredients. And in between me just talking to you from the bedroom and coming down to the kitchen, we've had a little dusting of snow as well. So I realise you're going to be watching this film a little bit later on in the year, but this is January, it is cold, and I feel like making something Scottish. Okay. So here are my key ingredients. Well, you can't make a haggis and white pudding and mixed bean stew without having haggis and white pudding. These were purchased yesterday in Aberdeen from A&M Family Butchers. And I've got one of these. I bought two actually, but I'm just doing one today. So one whole haggis is going to go into this and one little cute white pudding. Okay, I'll talk to you a bit more about what these are as I'm doing this. In terms of vegetables, I've got one red onion, 3 carrots and 2 parsnips. Now neeps should be swede, not nips, but never mind. I don't have swede, but I'm going to put parsnips in as a woody vegetable. I've got 3 potatoes, 1 white cabbage, 1 tin of chopped tomatoes. I've got Rosecoco beans and black eye beans, which are not Scottish, but I want beans in there because I want it to be a warming stew with a bit of substance. So they're going in there also, alongside some split peas. I've got violet sea salt, some basil, and a tiny bit of biryani masala. Now, what? Curry in a Scottish dish? Yes. Curry in a Scottish dish. Have you ever heard of mulligatawny soup? Google search it. I'll write that down for those people that just didn't understand what I just said to you. So, okay, so these are my key ingredients that are going in there. There'll be a little bit of water as well. Let's crack on. Right, I've got my big chopper out and I'm going to begin with a nice large red onion. So I'm just going to take the top off and the tail off. And then I'm going to peel off the nasty outside bit. All this goes to compost anyway, so that's fine. I'm not wasting. Right, that's nice. So I'm going to cut my onion in 2, and then I'm going to dice it by cutting it first of all this way, and then this way. So nice rough chunks of a fairly uniform size. So I've got to do this for this side as well. So that's my onion done, and all of this goes into the slow cooker bowl. Now I've got 3 potatoes, but I'm only going to do 2 of them at the minute. This one I'm going to do something different with in a little while, so I'm going to put that to one side. These 2 I'm just going to cut, just like I did with the onion, into nice sort of uniform pieces, little chunks. And yes, the skin stays on because I'm not afraid of skin. And it's full of vitamins and minerals, and it actually is just fine when it's slow cooked. It goes so soft you wouldn't even notice it was there in a casserole. Right, so that's 2 potatoes. Now my carrots, and again, top, tail, top, tail, top, tail. So the skin stays on, and I'm cutting these down into nice, small, thin slices like so. And then all the carrot pieces go on top of the potato. So it's chopping and chucking and making nice layers at this stage. I've got these 2 to do, I'll come back to you in a sec. Now my parsnips. So these are actually a Christmas hangover. Ones that are left over from Christmas. I've just topped and tailed them, and I'm just going to give them a little scrub under the tap. And just like the carrots, I am going to cut these down into slices. Now, traditionally in Scottish food, you'd be putting in neeps. And neeps are not turnips, they're swedes. It's a winter woody vegetable. The parsnip is also a winter woody vegetable. I don't have any swede, I don't have any turnips. So I'm going to use parsnips, or parsnips, as I'm going to refer to them in this. and they just add flavour and a nice woodiness to this. It's a wholesome stew, and you can see that the slow cooker bowl is filling up now. This is going to be for 4 people, incidentally. And the last of my fresh veg for now is the cabbage. So I'm just going to take off the outer layer because it's a bit dirty. There we go, nothing wrong with that. And what I want to do with my cabbage is cut about that far into it. So I'm probably cutting between 1/4 and 1/3 into it. And I'm going to go down the whole cabbage. And this is what I want. I don't need any more than that. And just like with the onions, I'm going down it in one direction. Then I'm going to turn it round and cut it in the other direction. All this will layer on top of what I've got in here. I've now got some juicy things to add. Well, when I say juicy things, I've got a tin of tomatoes to add. So, lid off, and I'm just going to pour these on top. And for now, this is practically all the liquid that's going to go in, apart from a little bit of water in here just to rinse out any bits that are stuck around the edge. I don't want to lose any flavour, and I want to chuck that on top as well. So this is my biryani masala, and literally you could just use standard curry powder. I've only got a tiny bit left in there. It won't make it massively curry flavoured, it'll just register that there is something there which is slightly spicy and aromatic. So I'm just going to sprinkle this on top. It really is a tiny, tiny bit. Now my salt. And I'm salting it with purple sea salt. You don't need to use fancy salt, any salt will do. And do you know what, I didn't say this in the list of ingredients, but if I'm having salt, I feel like I should have some pepper. And some basil, just to give it that sort of nice green freshness. There's probably about 1.5 teaspoons of basil gone there. Finally, for now, I'm going to add a layer of split peas. And I'm just going to sprinkle those on top. I would guesstimate there's probably about 70 to 80 grams, maybe 100 grams of split peas there. So you can see my slow cooker bowl is quite full. It's almost completely full, but not. I'm going to put the lid on. Now when the heat builds up in here and this starts to cook, it will drop in level because the liquids will be released and the fibres will break down in the veg. So I'm not overly concerned about this being too full. I'm going to put this on low. This is a completely low dish today. There's no cooking on high. This is low and slow. So the recipe isn't finished. I want this to stand and cook now for at least 2 hours before I do anything else to it. But I've got other things that I need to do too. These are the beans that I've had soaking overnight. I'm just going to give them a little rinse. That'll do. And they're going into this saucepan down here. And I'm going to half fill this saucepan with boiling water. Sorry, it's not boiling water, it's hot water. Although I do wish I had one of those posh boiling water taps. One day. A bit of salt. Lid on. I'm going to put these on very, very low. I don't want them to boil over, and they do have a tendency to do that. I need them to come to a simmer, and that just softens them up. I've got nothing else to do now until these are simmering, so I'll come back to you then. Okay, the beans are simmering. I'm going to give them 10 minutes, and then I'm turning them off. Right, 10 minutes is up. I'm turning the beans off, and I'm going to let them stand for 20 minutes before doing something else with them. Right, I'm now going to drain these partially. And by that, I mean I'm tipping out most of the water, but I'm keeping some water in there with them. So this is what I've got in the saucepan. I'm now going to leave these for an hour, just like that, so that they're not dry and that they will absorb some of that water. Over here, the slow cooker is obviously producing some steam. It's heating up. The level inside has dropped very slightly. That will continue to drop. In an hour's time, I will be adding the beans and the bit of water that's left in there into this, along with the remainder of the ingredients. So I'll catch you then. Right, an hour has passed. Steamy. There's not as much liquid as what I'd anticipated, actually. So I may end up adding some more water, but I don't want to make it too runny either. Anyway, for now, I'm just going to get these in there. There is obviously liquid that's gone in there with them, and they do need to be immersed. So I may end up adding some more water here. I'm just going to wait and see what happens. Right, I'm going to leave this for another hour and we'll come back to it. Right, an hour later. Lid police, look away. I just want to see what the liquid levels are like. Ah, they're definitely there. Look, you can see that. That's good. I was beginning to be a bit concerned that the veg wasn't releasing enough liquid, but it does seem to be doing okay. So keep the faith, that is the message. So I'm going to just push the beans down and then I'm going to move on to the next step. Now, don't you think spuds are great? Well, how about grating your spud? So with my third and final potato, I am going to grate it. I'm not cutting this one, I'm grating it because I want it to release some starchy liquids and I want it to have a bit more of a potato with thicker texture for the sauce. Now, it didn't look that juicy, but it will juice up in there, particularly when the fats come out of the meat, because the meat isn't even in there yet. So I'm just going to grate this and I shall come back to you afterwards. So here's all my grated potato and that's now going to go in there too. So I'm going to pour that on top. The grated potato cooks a lot quicker than the cut potato, which is why I've put it in a bit later. And then I'm simply going to spread this around the top and then just push it down. Lid back on. I'm leaving it like this for an hour and then I'm going to add the rest of the ingredients in there. See you then. A bit later than anticipated, it's actually 90 minutes later. Oh, this is now looking spot on, exactly as I wanted it to be before I go to the next step. Nice and solid too. Good. Right, let's get the meat sorted out. So my lovely haggis, and this is actually a real delight for me. I love haggis. If you've never tried it and you've been put off by it because of what you've read online or things you've heard, just forget about that. Just try it, right? It is made from parts of a sheep that you probably wouldn't choose to eat if you knew what they were, but it is delicious. It's absolutely fantastic. It's meat mixed with barley and herbs and other bits and pieces, and it's really, really delicious, and that's a decent piece of meat. So I've got the end bits as well. I'm not wasting anything, I will get those out. But this is what I'm going to do with the haggis itself. I'm going to cut down it. And then with each one of these, I'm going to go into it like so. And then same that way. So I'm basically dicing it just like I did the veg. And then these haggis pieces are going to go inside here. So I've got to do all of this. I'll come back to you when I've got all the haggis in. Right, there was slightly more haggis than I actually needed, so I'm keeping this. I'm going to have this with something else. But the haggis that I've got in my slow cooker, I'm now just going to push down into it also. And then that goes on top. So here's my white pudding, sometimes known in Scotland as a mealie pudding, M-E-A-L-I-E. It is similar to a black pudding, except it doesn't contain any blood. Now I'm peeling the edge off this because I want to actually cook it in the slow cooker in pieces rather than boil it or cook it in any other way. I'm just going to get this skinny edge off. There we go. So this is made from pork, suet and grain pretty much. There you go, that's what it looks like inside. It is absolutely packed with flavour. And believe it or not, a lot of vitamins and minerals. Dishes like white pudding, and in fact black pudding, came about, a long time ago when people slaughtered animals for winter and they wanted to make use of all of the animal parts as well as the meat, and so they invented and came up with dishes like this. So that is going in also. Scatter that on top. And again, I'm going to push this all in together. And this is definitely going to be a hearty and tasty stew, or casserole. Right, that is now done. There's nothing else to do in there. All it's got to do is sit on low and cook. I'll come back to you in 4 hours' time when it's time to dish up and taste it. See you then. Good evening, folks. It's actually 4.5 hours later, and I must apologise for the background noise, but I have got the air still doing some stilling. It's a busy kitchen. I do lots of stuff, but it's now time to dish up. So you'll notice that I've got my bowls on top warming up. This is just a little hack when you're using a slow cooker. It's nice to serve hot food into hot bowls. I'll turn this off. And let's have a look inside. Steamy. This is a proper casserole. Right, let's dish up. So first of all, constituency wise, look at that. I mean, this is not a sloppy, wet, soupy stew. This is gruel. Fantastic. This is definitely going to stick to your ribs on a cold winter's day. And if I was one of those TV chefs, I'd be garnishing this with something green. But do you know what? Everything that you can see here is massively flavoursome. Even though you couldn't see anything because it was dead steamed up. Sorry about that. But look at this. We've got carrots, we've got potatoes, we've got all the veggies that are in there, the onions, the cabbage, the haggis, the white pudding. This is a flavour bomb. Not forgetting, of course, those all-essential beans. So, as ever, the proof is in the tasting. So let's crack on and get that in my gob. Oh, can't wait. Oh, that's haggis-tastic. Wow. Oh my word. Honestly, if you're working in the Antarctic, this is what you want to take for your lunch. Absolutely beautiful. Oh. So, first things first, the flavour of the haggis has permeated everything within there. It's a massive haggis flavour, and the white pudding is just there in the background, propping it up. You've got that lovely suety richness. All the veggies and the beans are just really just carrying that flavour. It's fantastic. This would make a great filling for a pie, actually. It's really excellent. Oh, okay. Try a bit of potato. Wonderful. The pepperiness from the haggis and the pepper that I put in there, and that little tiny bit of spiciness from the curry powder that went in, or the biryani masala, or whatever it was. It's there, but it's not overpowering. It doesn't taste like a curry flavour. It just gives you that little tongue tingle and that really lovely warmth. It's absolutely delicious. I'm so glad I did this. Oh, you've got to love Scotland. You gave the world the haggis, and I thank you for that. Anyway, folks, I'm going to go away and enjoy this. Hope you've enjoyed the film. This is delicious. I'll catch you on the next film, whatever that may be. I'm sure it's probably a brew film, but we'll see. Catch you next time. The film that you've just watched is a Moss Home and Garden production. You can find more by going to www.mosshomeandgarden.co.uk. I'd just like to say thank you very much for supporting my YouTube channel and for watching my films. It really is very much appreciated. If you haven't already done so, please subscribe to my YouTube channel in order to receive future updates about the home and garden films which I upload. You can find my YouTube channel by going to www.mosshomeandgarden.co.uk. please click on the red subscribe button. When you've done that, a little bell will appear. If you press that also, then you'll get future updates about the films which I upload. If you like my films, if you like my style of filming, then you might also like my travel channel, which you will find by going to youtube.com/Stuart Moss or type in www.mosstravel.tv. Again, if you could subscribe to that channel, it would be hugely appreciated. If you'd like to get Moss Home and Garden updates on Facebook, then please open Facebook and do a search for Moss Home and Garden, and you will find the page. If you like the page, then you will get future updates on there. And if you'd like to connect on Instagram for home, garden and travel photography, as well as some stories, then my username is StuMoss, STUMOSS. If you'd like to connect on Twitter, then my username is @StuartMoss. And if you'd like to contact me about film usage or any other issue, please just email me on stewmosshomegarden@gmail.com. Once again, thank you very much for supporting my channel, for watching my films. I do appreciate it. I'd just like you all to have a great day.